Two guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Whoa. Did our music stop?
I think our music stopped, but that's okay. We don't need music. We're here to let's cut the music, as they would say in wrestling.
We'll do it live. Let's do it live.
Screw it. We'll do it live. Movie reviews with Mackey and Judd. We appreciate all of you who have found the brand new Movie Reviews with Mackey and Judd podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or the Score North app. If you could give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, you can help us grow the movie review brand here as we go forward. So this all started off 3 years ago with Action Movie Rewind, and then we've expanded the franchise into rom-coms and sports movies. But we're going back to our roots here today, gentlemen, back to action movies for the 2018 blockbuster. Or it was a blockbuster, but it didn't quite live up to what everyone had hoped. Skyscraper. Skyscraper. So without further ado, here is the summary of Skyscraper. Will Sawyer is a former FBI agent and U.S. war veteran who now assesses security for skyscrapers. While he's on assignment in China, the world's tallest and safest building catches on fire, and Will gets framed for it. Now, a wanted man and on the run, he must find those responsible, clear his name, and somehow rescue his family members when they become trapped inside the Inferno. 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, so not a great response from the critics.
No.
The critics' consensus says, well cast yet derivative, Skyscraper isn't exactly a towering action thriller feat, but it's solidly constructed enough to stand among the genre's more mildly diverting features. $125 million budget turned into $305 million at the box office. They wanted more. This movie stars The Rock and Neve Campbell, and I think some of the Asian stars in this movie are widely known outside the United States.
Gotcha.
One production note worth discussing here before we get to statements and the rankings. This film received very mixed reviews from critics who praised The Rock Dwayne Johnson's performance and the film's suspenseful scenes, but criticized the story as cliched and too similar to the towering Inferno, which was a huge blockbuster back in 1974 with Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, right?
Yep. Oh, everybody. O.J. Simpson's in it.
Yep.
Everyone's in that.
And also Die Hard from 1988. So they basically said, this is great, but everything about it is a combination of Die Hard and the towering Inferno. Mm-hmm. So is that a valid criticism?
Oh, yes, especially since the end scene where the bad guy falls off the building is
it's the same thing.
Is an ode to Die Hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I don't know, Dex, have you seen the towering Inferno?
I've seen parts of it. My mom, probably the biggest crush she had on any actor in the world was Paul Newman, a lot of other women in that time.
My mom loved Paul Newman.
So I've seen bits and pieces. I've never actually, I don't think I've seen it start to finish, but I know the premise. And
it had an intermission.
Yeah,
it was so long. It has an intermission, so you could go to the bathroom halfway through it.
Yeah, but it's basically about an indestructible big building, right? And there's a fire, but don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yes.
And then Die Hard, where you're stuck trying to be a hero and you're trying to take down terrorists with kind of a weird motive. Like, wouldn't there be an easier way to maybe get some money than to do this?
Right.
But that was the biggest criticism. And even like the branding and the movie poster and stuff is kind of, it's like, just like Bruce Willis is in the white wife beater and it's like an above shot. The Rock is like hanging on. So that was kind of the criticism. All right, let's start with Judd here. We'll go around the room and we'll issue statements about Skyscraper. Lead us off, Judd.
All right, my first statement plays off what you brought up, but the critics actually missed some of the odes that this film did. So this film is an ode to definitely Towering Inferno, Die Hard, Commando, The Daughter. That's the Commando storyline with Alyssa Milano. And The Rock definitely has, in my opinion, he plays a couple of characters that we've seen before. Schwarzenegger characters and my guy, Steven Seagal.
I needed to go deeper on the Segal angle. I don't know. I don't know if I see the connection there.
The beating up people beyond belief at times. Unbelievable.
Segal never gets no one ever gets the best of Segal in any of those movies. The Rock is like on the comeback trail the whole time.
So the start of the film where and by the way, marvelous job of pace of film. They don't waste any time here. I actually appreciated that a lot. The start of the film where The Rock is the negotiator and they go in and he thinks he's got the guy, just put the kid down and he blows the house up is very similar to the start of Hard to Kill.
I got you there. Yep.
Segal
I get that.
Shot, and then now he's in a coma and they show it. But my point is this film, and you know what? I butt in.
Yeah.
Like I just decided, it's sort of stupid. I'm just going to buy in.
Yeah. Yeah. The plot, I think I wrote down verbatim at the end of this movie. At the end of the day, this plot doesn't matter in the slightest, and that's totally okay. Yep. Like that. It's totally okay that that's the case. I love that.
All right. Is that let's go into Declan, whatever.
Okay. Let's go on the plot here. I have another one too that I was going to use, I think, first, but I'll save it to the next round. I love this plot. Makes no sense. Like it all of a sudden,
right. Wrote this down
I have a lot of subplots off this point, but okay. So he's an army guy that gets his leg blown up. He's an amputee. He fell in love with the surgeon, by the way. There's no backstory there. They're together and they now have 2 kids 10 years later. He's a contractor guy for these skyscrapers. And then he gets this iPad, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. He gets framed for it, but really, he's not really on the run that much. Like I know the people are chasing him, but he's being cheered by all the people that are watching him do all these heroics.
Dude, by the way, like these cameras that they're using too to follow this. I mean, so everyone's watching, downtown, whatever, these big screens and stuff, and they've got these close-up shots of him like on the side of the building. These are just amazing camera work by whoever. Yeah. Jumped into place from these TV stations.
from the character turns to the whole plot, like it makes no sense, but at the same time, I was totally here for it. Like Judd said, I actually really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I did, and it was very, very fun movie.
Okay, so we're all kind of well, let me just keep the train going here. My first statement is a question. It's a rhetorical question. Why would you not just use a reputable security company or whatever he's called? I guess he's an assessor, right? Why would you? So they said, well, I know why. The answer is because he's easy to dupe, right? You can just like take that iPad has way too much power. Yeah, one iPad? What happens if you lose it? Like what?
Or it breaks.
It breaks? Yeah. But like this is the largest building in the world. Feels like a red flag that you're trying to go on the cheap because the line was, hey, you were half the price of the the reputable, credible inspection companies, right? Yeah. But to Declan's point about the plot or whatever, I actually had to Google the villain. So there's a website that's called it's like a villains Wikipedia site, like a movie villains wiki site, and I just didn't really understand, like, why are these terrorists trying to burn this building down? At first, I thought it was an insurance play or something, but like, what is the motive here? And so they literally list out on the villains wiki site and the villain's name is Korez Batha. Yeah, right. He's like the guy with the mustache or whatever. Yeah. And it says, control the Pearl skyscraper is his goal by triggering a fire in random places so he can extract millions of dollars in shakedown payments.
No, that's not right.
But it is right. He essentially wanted to threaten the multi-billionaire guy into.
He wanted that list back that the guy had on some type of hard drive. On that, that's what he wanted because that was going to expose him. He wanted that. And then he said, though, I just want to watch the building burn.
Yeah.
So he was some ego in there for sure.
Oh, it was all. Yeah. But he wanted that like. It's
he set the building on fire to get that flash drive. Like the building on fire was a subplot to just get the actual flash drive.
But then he said, I want you to watch
a different way to get the flash drive.
Yes, it makes no sense.
It makes no sense, but it's totally okay.
At least in Die Hard, it has nothing to do with the building, right? It's like those guys were trying to, I can't remember who they were trying to get money from. Was it the US government or something? Or did they like took over the building to steal money, basically?
Yeah. But they weren't, yes. Die Hard made a lot more. Die Hard actually tracked. This doesn't track.
I think what we're finding here is in some of these movies, we're like, there's a terrorist on a plane or in a building. You never really know what they want or why they want it. You just know that like someone needs to save the day, right?
So if I were to tell you guys that I could make this film make sense, but minimum it probably goes 2:10, 2 hours plus.
Do you have a plan for how you would make it make more sense?
Well, you could have told backstories. You could have done things. I'm not saying it makes perfect sense, but I'm saying it makes more sense. They clearly chopped a lot of stuff out, and God bless them for it.
Yeah.
Right. Like what maybe there was a backstory, and there clearly was, between the terrorist and the billionaire that could have been fleshed out for 10 or 15 minutes to show, oh yeah, this is
correct.
why.
Exactly.
Okay.
Between the actual film and the Zolgad Zack Snyder cut, if you will, I would rather take the short film. I'd rather take the short one, not this longer one. That
it's
probably
the yada, right?
Yeah, might be a better movie. Might be, because the plot would make more sense. But at the end of the day, I'd rather just appreciate the hour and 40-minute runtime that this has.
100%.
They Seinfelded this movie. They yada it. It was okay. So there's a big building, and the big building is going to be inspected by The Rock. Yada. Yes. And a terrorist is going to screw the whole thing up. Yada. And The Rock has to save the day. Well, why? Okay.
But like, how does The Rock? They could have done an extra 10 minutes alone with Neve Campbell's character and The Rock, and like them meeting. No, I agree. I'm saying I love the fact they didn't, but they like left a lot of things just sort of like, we'll address it with like a sentence.
But you know what? I'm
a fan.
When I watch Die Hard, even for the 100th time now, I feel, let's go deep on this for a second. I feel more connected to what's his name? John McClane. Right?
Yeah.
I feel more invested, and I don't know if it's because of he's just like a better actor than The Rock, or is the story better told?
They give you story though. Like he's on the plane.
These ruthless murderers killed a couple characters that we already got to know early in the movie. Like, I don't really feel much of a connection to The Rock in this movie. It's just like, oh, he's just like a big hulking.
Right, and he gets blown up, and it's unfortunate, but then he gets blown up, and like it's the next scene is 10 years later. Like with John McClane, he's on the plane talking to a teenage girl or something. Yeah. But I mean, it gives you an idea of who he is, like what his thought process, motivation is. The Rock, it's just like 10 years later, 2 kids and no right leg.
Yeah.
Which you then on that too.
Okay. Let's go back to Judd here. It's good. Good stuff here. Good stuff.
This is a statement, but if somebody can enlighten me, I would love to hear it. A prosthetic leg can't take that much abuse and keep being reattached to your body.
You mean you probably can't be hanging from the 150th floor on the outside?
And then when he jams it in to stop that door from closing and then kisses that, like I think it would go like that.
Here's the best part. So again, that same prosthetic leg he uses to jam inside that, whatever that heavy like new door is. But then at some other point in the movie, doesn't he use like a hammer to just like reposition the foot on that same prosthetic leg?
Yes, he hammers it out.
Oh my
God.
So, okay, if you are in a position in your life where you have a prosthetic leg and you have to scale the outside of a skyscraper and you have to tie a rope to one of your legs in order to do what you're going to do, would you maybe not tie that rope to your working leg and not the prosthetic leg?
Yes.
He tied it to the prosthetic leg and then like, oh my God, my leg's about to come off, right?
I missed that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh God, it's so good. So let's go back to the beginning of the movie, because as you guys saw, there's a Minnesota reference. The first scene is a Minnesota reference. Where I wrote Ash Lake, Minnesota. Ash Lake, Minnesota.
I missed this.
So where that bomb goes off, that first thing, it says Ash Lake, Minnesota. So that's where that detonator goes. That's where the whole movie starts.
That's where the guy
snowing, and I'm like, oh, is this movie going to be based in Minnesota? Of course, the Minnesotan.
Is that a real? It is. It's an unincorporated community.
Yes, it's near International Falls. It's near the border. I would much rather prefer a great Minnesota tie into this movie. Like, was The Rock based in Minneapolis, and did he have to drive up there to do this? Was it because he was FBI SWAT team? He was SWAT team, military defense.
He's one of us.
Is he here? I want the Minnesota backstory of Skyscraper, because then all of a sudden we're in Hong Kong. We went from Ash Lake, Minnesota, which to Phil's point, it's like not even a real populated city, to Hong Kong overnight. I want the Minnesota background of this film.
So Ash Lake is, let's see here. It's about 25 miles from International Falls. It's up 53. It's unincorporated. It's in St. Louis County. But there is, I'm just zooming in here, there is a business on Ash Lake called Ron's Cabins.
Nice.
So maybe that's where this guy was. He was in one of Ron's cabins holding a child hostage, I guess. Interesting. I totally missed that. So this movie has a very key Minnesota tie at the beginning. Okay. Totally different direction here, but they said this is a 250-story building, and like the top 100 floors are all residential, right? They were trying to get the residential from like 130 all the way up, 120 floors of residential. I would have zero interest in living on the 200th or 220th floor of any building at all whatsoever. Mm-hmm. First of all, that's like probably 3,000 feet in the air, like 2,500. Yeah. The temperature difference is pretty... I was looking this up. I said, what is the temperature difference if you're 3,000 feet in the air? It's like a 10-degree difference.
Yeah, it's significant.
You can definitely feel it. But I don't know, man. Like, can you open your windows? Like the wind, everything? I lived on the 15th floor one time of a building downtown, and that was kind of like, whoa, okay.
I was on the 6th in my last building, and even then, like that was max. Like, I'm not going up any higher than that. And heights... If it's controlled, I'm okay. Like a rooftop view, I'm totally okay with that. I don't like roller coasters, so I don't like any of that stuff. But yeah, no chance. And I know those elevators clearly zoom all the way up, so that elevator ride isn't as long as maybe you would think it would be, because it's like this awesome technology that gets you from the ground all the way up there, no problem. But no, I have no interest in being in a tower that high.
But you think about like, it's the Prudential building, I think, in Chicago, or we have Hubbard Studios, our friends at Hubbard Chicago. And like that building is massive, and they have different elevator corridor wings. So there's a couple buildings, the IDS in Minneapolis, where if you want to go, if you're going from 0 to 20, you go over here. If you're going 20 to 40, or maybe you go up one and then you have to get it. Wouldn't you have to transfer like to 3 or 4 different elevator corridors? Just the sheer amount of people that live in that building, there'd have to be tons of elevator corridors, I would think. It'd be a pain in the ass. And you'd have to run into like 100 people going down.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing this.
I'm going to get in on the 200th floor, and it stops on 190. Yep.
192.
Exactly. I don't want to run into Paul and Nancy on 192. Paul, guy. I think we're back to Judd here.
All right. Pablo Schreiber is a great bad guy. So he's the first bad guy. And by the way, I love this too. They don't like, I was like, how are they going to develop him? You could tell he was a bad guy. And I was like,
you knew in the first 10 seconds.
And they were like, we're going to kill him quick. Yes. But I think he is, I've seen him in a bunch of different things as a bad guy.
Yeah.
I think he's a great bad guy. He's got
Orange
that
is the
sort
new
of
black.
Sleazy look. He's Liv Schreiber's half brother, I believe. But he is I love him. He's actually good. But, this whole thing with him, I'm sorry I had to do this. It's like, why didn't you just give him the tablet? Yeah. I don't know. I think he's a great bad guy.
One of my notes was, I love how you could tell right away that The Rock's business cohort was going to be a bad guy. Like you just knew right away.
And how about the bad guy who was on the rich guy's staff, who was sort of this sleazebag?
Yeah.
And like you knew immediately, that guy's going to die a bad death.
Yep.
The fake insurance inspector guy.
Yes.
That guy,
it was it was a cartoon. He was like a cartoon bad guy.
I wrote down what a character turn from that weenie insurance guy. That I had no idea that guy was going to be a bad guy, and I don't think his character was even like necessary, really.
I could tell right away.
I think in these movies you always need like 2 or 3 different twists, right? Yeah. You need to know who's helping set this up from the inside. who's making it work. All right, Dex.
All right. I think actually my main takeaway from this movie, and I was going to lead with this before we went down a different path, but my statement is there a better couple to keep children alive and overcome murder and adversity more than The Rock and Neve Campbell? Like The Rock, the big, Hulk of a man and can beat up anybody. And then you have Neve Campbell, who, was in like 5 Screams and like was able to get away from murderers. And now you put these two together in charge of children. This might be legitimately low key, by the way, one of the best power couples to keep children away from murder and adversity. I actually thought these two played each other really well.
Yeah.
Neve Campbell like isn't really featured that much. She could have been used more, I guess. But I kind of works. Like it works to this point. So I thought it was really funny that you had, the Scream Queen Neve Campbell and then The Rock being the big guy that he is. It actually works. It makes a lot of sense. I'd feel very safe in their arms.
I really like the callback at the end of the movie where she just like resets the iPad or resets she turns.
It's all callbacks.
I turned it. Yeah, I turned it off.
There's like 8 callbacks. Yeah. It's incredible. That film is filled with callbacks.
Yeah, they were planting seeds in the first like 15
everything
minutes.
they did was then revisited at some point towards the end. There's no question about it.
Yep. But they were back to The Rock and Neve Campbell where they really worked together when the fire had sort of like cut the building in half. And they lay that really rickety 2x4.
He's holding the bridge.
He's holding the bridge.
I can't hold it much longer.
And she gets over to the other side, and you're like, oh, okay, now she's just gonna like be with the kids, and they're gonna find a way out that way. It's like, no, now she's gonna like put a kid on her back and walk back across the.
And it's gonna start to break. The bridge is going. I can't hold it.
The bridge is out. The bridge is out. Okay, I think I have answered one of my own questions from the beginning of our session here. And then I don't know. I love The Rock. I've been a fan of The Rock since 1997 when he came into the WWF and I was a big wrestling fan and he was my favorite wrestler. And then when he starts doing movies, it's like, oh, this is really cool. The Rock is like a B-level actor. And then The Rock becomes an A-level actor and he's like a billionaire. And so it's been fun for 25 years following this guy that, if you're a diehard wrestling fan. But I've just kind of wondered, like, why don't I feel a connection to him in some of these movies like I do with Arnold or like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, where you really you're like, oh, really invested in what happens to them. And I think I know why. I think he lacks a certain charisma in these movies that he has as a wrestler. And my statement is he needs a catchphrase or two. Can you guys tell me one Dwayne Johnson catchphrase in an action movie?
I can't, but Declan might know one.
No, I mean, I was going to be one of my statements, but I love his cheesy line on duct tape in this movie. Duct tape can't fix it. Nothing can. Like he gave that easy one.
You need more duct tape.
You need more duct tape. Yeah, whatever the hell it was.
But Phil's right. It's not very convincing. Like Schwarzenegger partially because
get
and
to
the
accent,
chopper,
right?
The accent's huge, right? But like the accent's enormous.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, but you're right. Like I know exactly what you're saying.
Bruce Willis, yippee-ki-yay. Like there's the signature.
Yeah,
it's always corny, but
like
you need your action star to have that cheeky sort of that corny ass line that drives it home.
It's corny with them, but more believable if that makes sense.
And dude, in wrestling, The Rock had all sorts of corny. This is how The Rock made his name. It was, take that shoe, turn it sideways, and stick it straight up your candy ass. It was if you smell. Like everything he did was catchphrases. That's what got him over with the audience.
I like it.
There's an entire brand called SmackDown, which is basically a Rock catchphrase to lay at the smackdown on your candy ass. They built an entire wrestling show that's been on for 20 plus years now off The Rock's catchphrase.
Gonna lay the smackdown on your candy ass. They've built empires and franchises off of his catchphrases. It's amazing. He called himself the Brahma Bull. Yeah. And the Brahma Bull now has a brand, like the bull brand that you see with Under Armour, right? Like everything that he did was a catchphrase. So I'm just saying The Rock needs a catchphrase in these movies.
Or his eyebrow, yeah. It doesn't make any sense. You're right. It's kind of
but the duct tape. But the duct tape line was like an attempt, and it just fell sort of flat.
It was funny. It was
pretty right, but it just fell flat compared to what Phil's talking about.
Yeah,
like a true.
Yeah, there's just something a little
generic
about it. So, all right, Judd, any other statements from you guys here before we get to the rankings?
Yes. This is a criticism not just of this film, but of a lot of films now. Can we go back to old school choreographed fighting scenes? I feel like a lot of these films that we watch now, they're choreographed really, really strongly, but they're always done sort of like fast and in the dark. And so you can't really see the fight. I mean, it's very clear that they're avoiding, because to go back to the old school films, those fights were choreographed, but we saw more and they looked more believable, in my opinion. I feel like now it's guys wrestling and punching, but you're just seeing bang, bang, you know, and so you don't get the meat. I want the meat of the fight.
And by the way, dude, Pablo is like 6'5". He's a big dude. You got The Rock. That would have been a formidable. Just put those guys in a freaking ring and let those guys go to town. But they want I was reading about that fight scene. It took them like 5 days to film the fight scene because they wanted it to feel huge, and they wanted the room to get destroyed. And they wanted it to be, you know, two guys with army backgrounds going back. It was actually, I thought it was a pretty good fight scene, actually. The knife through the grill grate and stuff. Like,
yeah, that one was okay. But I mean, I'm just saying then as we got the fights in the tower, I felt like those were just done really quickly and like bang, 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 instead of like a good old fashioned fight scene.
What about, speaking of fight scenes and callbacks, what about the mirror room? How'd you guys feel? Kind of a random, like, why?
One more thing. I'm behind you.
Yeah.
I'm behind you.
Boom.
See, you know what, though? That would have been a great opportunity for a catchphrase. But it wasn't.
I was just going to say.
I'm behind you is not a catchphrase. They needed something else.
You know what? You just
That was the
nailed
moment.
It.
That was the moment.
You nailed it. Because Arnold would have nailed that moment.
Yes. That's
You're
the
so
moment.
right.
That is the moment. And I don't know what I don't know what you would have maybe had to find a different trope or something, but I'll be back. Or yippee-ki-yay, right? Like, those get you.
I feel
I'm behind you.
I get why he wanted to shed so much of his wrestling persona into his acting. I feel like what probably should have happened is he takes one of those ones we just talked about, you know, just bring it, laying the smack down in your candy ass.
Just bring it. Oh, my God, he has so many.
He should have just taken one of them and used it in his movies. And that's totally okay, man.
Just bring it. And then he
just
does
bring it.
He does the...
Yes. Can you imagine if he did that? I would have nerded out so hard if he did that.
You know what? Actually, you know what it should be? It should be... What's the other one where he... it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what
he literally has like 11 wrestling catchphrases where he'll say, hey, Judd, what do you think about the Vikings' chances to win this Sunday? Well, I think it doesn't matter what you think.
Yeah. I love it.
So much charisma. Just ridiculous. All right, Dex, any final statements from you?
No, we briefly talked on it, but I just love the importance of duct tape in this movie. Not just his cheesy-ass line, but the fact he uses it to scale an entire width of a skyscraper building is pretty effing hilarious.
While hanging by his nails.
Yeah.
that jump he takes from the crane into the building.
Pretty impressive.
Or he catches it. And then I will say this. My palms sweated about 5 times on those high scenes where they would show him looking down at the ground. Yeah. Like my palms got sweaty. I was like, I can't take that.
And actually, you know what? Now that I remember, because he went and did like the fan thing and then he had to jump back. I thought that he tied the rope to his prosthetic leg. I think it was just as he jumped and then he grabs the rope, his foot slid into the rope. And it was just sort of luck. So sorry, Dwayne. It wasn't your fault. But yeah, I did have a note that duct tape is the real MVP of this movie. So I'm glad we touched on duct tape. Okay, it's time for the definitive villain rankings here. And we rebooted Action Movie Rewind last year. I should combine these lists actually, because we do have like 55 or 60 villains ranked. I have like 15 of them here because we've done 15 since the reboot.
Right. But
it's a 1 through 10 scale, and the criteria is how iconic, ruthless, and charismatic is the villain. And the villain in this case is Chorus Batha, the terrorist guy. So the only perfect 10 that we've given out in the rebooted version of Action Movie Rewind is Cyrus the Virus from Con Air.
God, he's good.
Castor Troy from Face Off is a 9. And then 4 others above a 7. Dom Toretto in the original Fast and the Furious. The Aliens from Independence Day. Chong Li from Bloodsport, and Surfer Bodhi from Point Break. The worst, and I have a feeling we might be flirting with this here for this one. The worst ones are the British car-loving gangster and Gone in 60 Seconds. That's a 1.3. Reyes in Fast 5, a 2.7. And Arturo Braga from Fast 4, a 3.3. Tied with Senator Trent from Hard to Kill at a 3.3. So iconic, ruthless, charismatic as the 3 criteria. Judd, how would you rate Coris Batha?
Well, he was, in my opinion, pretty meaningless. Like, he didn't really have that big a role. I'd give him a 2.
Oh, wow.
I'd give him a 2. It's a 1 or a 2. I mean, it again, you know what? It very much falls in line with the British
The car-loving gangster. Yeah,
gangster.
Just a random.
It's just we got to pick a bad guy, so let's just have this guy. So 2.
And but that's another thing that it's a 1 for Dex.
1. He's not really even in this movie that much.
Yeah,
he does nothing for me. He's completely forgettable. It's a 1. He has no impact.
Yeah, it's a 1 for me. It's a 1 for me. And I think that's another thing that makes Die Hard stand out is that the terrorist was one of the best characters in the movie. Like, get me my detonators, right? He was just iconic. So yeah, iconic. It's a 0 or a 1. Ruthless, I guess. Whatever. Like, he's ruthless. Charismatic, no.
Plus we still don't really like the plot of what he was doing was so dumb.
Yeah, like he wanted some money or
just go get your hard drive or your disc or whatever the hell that thing was and get out of there.
Yeah, just pipe down guy, basically. Also, the unrated ones here that we didn't have a ranking for are the personal demons from Top Gun, Top Gun Maverick, and Days of Thunder. So basically, any Tom Cruise movie, he doesn't have. There's no villain apparently. There's just the personal demons he's battling. And so now we get to the 1 through 10 rating here, the entertainment value of this movie on a 1 to 10 scale. Con Air is the most entertaining action movie we have in our reboot, 9.7. Top Gun Maverick, a 9.3. Independence Day, 8.7. The Fast and the Furious, 8.5. The worst ones are Hard to Kill, Fast and Furious 4, Gone in 60 Seconds, and Days of Thunder, all a 5 or below.
So this film had some key components to it. The pace was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They sacrificed storyline for pace, and I love that. It might not have made sense, but the action was damn good. I'm gonna give it a 7. I thought it was entertaining. Like you've got to buy in. So like if you're like, well, this makes no sense, it sucks, that's fine. But in that amount of time, they jammed a ton of action in. It was entertaining in that sense. I mean, the film wasn't good, but who cares? So 7.
It's a 7 for me as well. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I would stop and watch a couple scenes if this was on the hotel TV. If you're trying to kill some time, which is my criteria for stopping and watching. And it's funny how these newer action movies, like I probably give more the benefit of the doubt of a movie that was made in 2018, where when we've done Segal films and the older Stallone films, like I just have a tougher time gravitating towards them. I think that's a generational thing, to be honest. So it's funny how that kind of works out because I mean, in general, is Skyscraper a good movie? No, but did I actually enjoy this film? Yeah. I did. So it's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I wanted more. It's a 6 for me.
Okay.
I don't hate it. I love The Rock enough, and it's a theatrical sort of fun, campy movie. So I'll stop on it. It's not a train wreck, but it's a 6 for me. I wanted some more. Didn't get it. It's fine. So that makes it a 6.7 collectively for us. By the way, the villain was a 1.3, tying it with the British car-loving gangster for the worst villain. This is a 6.7, tying it with Twister just below the halfway point, just below Fast 5, tied with Twister, and just ahead of Bloodsport, Too Fast, Too Furious, and RoboCop. So,
oh God, RoboCop.
There you go. That scene in RoboCop where the RoboCop murders that corporate guy. It's glorious stuff.
The stupidest.
So, all right, boys, for next week, as we make our tour, we kind of rotate around rom-coms, sports movies, action movies. It is 4th of July weekend next weekend. And so I think we should do something American. And I've been pushing this movie on you guys for 2 or 3 years. It's a star-studded cast. Michael J. Fox. You got Michael Douglas, Annette Bening, The American President rom-com from 1995. A hit at the box office.
Is this more of a rom-com?
It's a rom-com dram.
Okay.
A rom-com dram, I would say. Let's give it a shot. You guys can clown me and dunk on me all you want late next week if this movie is not up to standards. But I think there's enough fodder here and enough of a cast where we can make it happen.
Is this one of your favorite movies then? Is this one of your favorite movies you've seen before?
I've seen this movie before, and I think it would be good for these purposes. Yes. Okay. And it was also a big blockbuster hit because of the cast in the 1990s. So let's give it a shot.
Rob Reiner film.
You guys can clown the hell out of me if you want. It is a Rob Reiner film. Yes. And then we'll see what happens. So The American President.
It's free on YouTube. Good to know. Free on YouTube, by the way.
There you go. Merry Christmas.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll come over, Judd. I'll help you set it up.
No, thanks. I'm good. I'll pay for it.
You'll figure it out? Okay.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.